What's going on, guys? Welcome back to BlackTideTV. In today's video, we're back on Call of Duty Infinite Warfare for your review of DLC 3 Absolution. Absolution is the latest map pack for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, including 4 multiplayer maps and a brand new zombies experience. There are no gimmicks, no free items, no real special incentive to make players want to buy this map pack, especially so late in the game. I think this is a growing problem going forward. I'd just like to bring this up quickly. We've become way too comfortable with the standardized scheme of DLC for Call of Duty games. $10 to $15 for each map pack, or you can buy the season pass for $50, I think it is. And you get 4 multiplayer maps and a zombies experience, and that's it. Previously in the Call of Duty franchise, we've been given free weapons, new weapons, and of course, it's pay to win to get a DLC pack and have a special new weapon, but at the very least, give us something like a variant or supply drops or keys or salvage for buying the DLC or for buying the season pass. I know season pass holders get the extra daily sign-in bonus, but if you're buying this DLC, there should be something else involved on top of the multiplayer maps and the zombies experience. I say this because Infinite Warfare never had a whole lot of players to begin with, and then we're losing numbers by the day. And when it comes to finding a game in these DLC playlists, especially DLC 3, because between you and me, the map pack isn't that good, but there are so few players here trying to get into a lobby together, and then you have crappy connection. Just give us an incentive, give players the want to buy the map pack, give them a special variant, or a special supply drop, or a bunch of supply drops, or a bunch of crafting materials. Give us something so that we want to keep buying DLC and we want to keep playing the game Infinity Ward. That would be great. But without further ado, I've got a little rundown of each of the 4 multiplayer maps from Absolution. I've also got a brief description of the zombies for you. I'm not a big zombies player when it comes to Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, but I have tried out Attack of the Radioactive Thing a couple times, and it's kind of right down the middle in terms of zombies experience in this game. I do like the zombies in Infinite Warfare. It's a little different from what we've experienced with Treyarch zombies, and I think that's totally okay. I think the zombies in this game is definitely more wacky, more of like an arcade kind of zombies experience, whereas Treyarch is more serious. You got to follow the story, and everyone's trying to do the Easter egg to get the story done. In Infinite Warfare, I find there's more players that just want to play the zombies just for fun and just to have a good time and shoot some zombies. There's not as many players out here trying to get those Easter eggs done. But I have heard the Easter eggs are pretty good in Infinite Warfare, especially in Attack of the Radioactive Thing. When you're playing through the zombies experience, you can actually run into the final boss just playing. He's there. There's this great big shell crab creature in the ocean that's standing right there, and he will kind of like walk up and almost interact with you while you're playing through the map. Later on, apparently you activate these death ray cannons and you can shoot at him. There's a big fight with him and he can insta-kill your team. He's a really serious enemy. There are also special new enemies in Attack of the Radioactive Thing every 5 rounds or however many rounds, replacing the Hellhounds from Treyarch zombies, and these are like Krogs, I think they're called, which are like crab frog creatures. They fall from the sky and they attack you. There's a couple that are very, very hard to kill. It's an interesting zombies experience to say the least. It's all set in the 50s or the 60s at like a drive-in theater, but there's so much more to this little map. There's a drive-in theater, there's like a trailer park, a beach. It's almost like a small town. And there's Elvira is in there. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark from like the 80s is in there, which is pretty weird. And then you're kind of running around in this black and white environment until you turn on the color, and then you can mess with the colors of the map. It's an interesting experience, to say the least. But I'm not the biggest zombies player in the world, and so I can't really go into much more detail than that. I think it's right down the line. It's not as good as Raven the Redwoods, in my opinion, but it's definitely better than Shaolin Shuffle. And now on to these 4 multiplayer maps. I really don't have a whole lot to say about the multiplayer maps this time around. I'll give you guys the in-game description, and then I'll give you my own sort of take on each of the maps. 2 of the maps are very good. 2 of the maps are pretty bad. So the first map that we're going to be discussing is Ember, and this is the second of the really good maps, and that would be the remake of Resistance from Modern Warfare 3. Techno-Renaissance architecture that takes place in a post-apocalyptic future where the surrounding areas are smoldering ruins. They make it sound a lot more cool than it actually is. It just looks like Renaissance, but everything is kind of tinted a burnt orange color. If you played Resistance, in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, you'll feel very at home in this map. It's very much the same. They haven't changed a whole lot. I was actually hoping for them to change something. The staircase, where there's a door inside the staircase, I was always expecting in Modern Warfare 3 for them to open up that doorway and have an underground tunnel through the map. I was really hoping for that when I heard that this was a remake of Resistance, and they didn't do that. Instead, the map is pretty much shot for shot the exact same as it was in Modern Warfare 3, with a couple different color shaders, a couple different environment changes. It still plays very well. It plays very similar to Modern Warfare 3. I expect when you play the tactical game mode, or whatever it's called when you're boots on the ground in this game, if you play that game mode, you will definitely feel right at home if you play the Modern Warfare 3 version of Resistance, but when you're playing with the jetpacks and all that, it does actually make the map work a little bit different. The map still flows the same, but the center area, you can basically jump straight up and see over the map, and you can just snipe people for days. If you have a long-range weapon, if you have a good shot when you're jumping through the air, you're going to be unstoppable on Ember. It's one of the better maps from the map pack. The second map that we're going to be discussing is the worst map from the map pack, and that is 4. I've noticed something with DLC 3 when it comes to Call of Duty games. DLC 3 seems to be the point where the developers kind of give up. And that remains the same for DLC 3 Absolution here in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare with the map 4. I think it was DLC 3 and Black Ops 3 that had the picnic table. It might have been DLC 4. I'm pretty sure it was DLC 3 where we had that picnic table and everyone was super small and you were running around wall running on boxes of, I don't know. You were on a picnic table. It was the stupidest thing ever, and a lot of people kind of were like, this is kind of ridiculous. I think the map was called Micro. DLC 3 or DLC 4. That area where the developers kind of gave up. Same thing here with 4. 4 is a large mini putt course. It's a miniature golf theme park. Fun for the whole family. A large battlefield with multiple hotspots and long sightlines. Long sightlines is kind of a question mark. I don't think there are that many long sightlines. It's mostly twists and turns. It's a very helter-skelter map. There's so many different corners and angles and different lanes. It's all over the place. It's very confusing. You can get lost in this map. I've been playing on this map for multiple weeks, and I'm still getting lost on the map every single day I play. I think the map is ridiculous, being on a miniature golf course, a mini putt course. Stupidest thing ever. And even if it was an actual mini putt course, people going to the mini putt course could not figure themselves out in how to get from one hole to the next. The holes have numbers on them, and the numbers are like nowhere near where the next number is. There's pathways and hills and stairs and everything. It's the most confusing map. It's so frustrating to play on. There's no real flow to the map, and because it's so large and confusing, you'll run around for a full minute and a half before you find anybody. It's frustrating. It's infuriating. It's a really bad map. And normally, I'm that character, I'm that person who really enjoys the large clustered maps. I loved maps in Call of Duty Ghosts where the maps were huge and there were all these different flank routes, and that's what this map is like. There are routes that go under the map and routes that go across, and there's wall run spots, and there's all kinds of nonsense going on in this map. But instead of being smart, instead of really using your environment and being able to get around, it's more just confusing, and you're just going to end up running all the way to the other end of the map. Maybe you're trying to sneak and you're being stealthy. You're going to stealth your way through all of these different outside lanes, finally get to the other end of the map, and the spawn's going to flip because everyone just ran around a big circle and couldn't find each other. And then you're screwed. You have to go back to the other side of the map. It's just one of those maps that just doesn't work. Not in its theme and not in its layout. The third map is the map that you saw in the first set of gameplay for today's video, Permafrost. This is easily my favorite map of the map pack, next to Ember, which you're seeing now. Permafrost, taking place in the broken down remains of Chicago after a planet-wide freeze, is a medium-sized map with circular flow. This map, I think it's set in a subway station or something like that, or like a large train station. It's kind of hard to put your finger on. I'm not familiar with Chicago. Maybe it's actually a historical landmark or like a really used building in Chicago. I'm not familiar, but the map itself is really sound. I think there's something about winter maps. It's not just, oh my god, winter maps always look really great in Call of Duty games, but winter maps always seem to be the best played maps as well. Whenever there's snow on the ground, you're probably going to enjoy the map. And that's always been the case for me, and that's still the case with Permafrost. I think the map flows perfectly. There are just enough flanking routes. It's not like 4 where it's all over the place and just crazy and you can't figure out your head from your ass. In Permafrost, there are meaningful flank routes. There's like little tunnels that go underground and can sneak up into enemy spawns. Speaking of spawns in Permafrost, they're a little bit broken. If you can control the spawns, if you can get into your enemy spawn without enough of them pouring out the sides, you can absolutely spawn trap them, especially on one side. They'll continue to spawn in this back area, and you can sit up above them in the second story window and just snipe them and just pound them with LMG assault rifle fire, and they'll just continue to spawn there. So the spawns are a little bit broken if you know how to work them. I think the map does flow very well. It's large enough that there are extra areas in the back corners for people to kind of hide out and use their score streaks or snipe or do whatever they're doing in those back corners. But there's enough open area in the middle as well so that players can get into that middle and engage each other, and it's a meaningful engagement. There's actual action that goes down on this map in the middle, and then you can be very stealthy and go around the edges as well. It's almost like a 3-lane map, but there are so many extra little flank routes that kind of crisscross across the 3 lanes. It does have a circular flow, as the in-game description says. Last but not least, Bermuda is a mid-tier map. It's not terrible, it's not great, it's kind of like a shanty town. The in-game description calls it a scavenged civilization stranded on a sandbar in the middle of an ocean. Tight 3-lane map with a long linear layout. It does have a long linear layout, that's for sure, but in terms of sightlines, you don't really have those great sniper sightlines on this map for a 3-lane map. Generally 3 lanes, you have those great sniper lanes. This one, not so much. It's almost like a 3-lane, and then there's an intersection in the middle, and then another 3-lane on the other side, where in the middle there's like this long horizontal strip with 4 entry points on either corner, and that's where the shit goes down. That's where BDOM is. That's where all of your objectives are. Everyone runs in there and just engages each other all day long. There are also a couple little flank routes that go around there, but not too many people use those. There's a lot of wasted space on this map, back corners, unlike Permafrost, where they can be used for a lot of really great ideas, a lot of great gameplay tactics. On Bermuda, the back corners are really underused, and there's not a lot of point to them being there, but they are there in case you wanted to be hiding in the back of the map, in case you're boosting with your friends or something like that. They're definitely great for that. I think the map looks appealing, but it's kind of grayed out. It's not the greatest map, and even just the wall runs and stuff, they're there, and there's a lot of acrobatics that you can do with the map, but not enough to really make you go, wow, this is a great map for advanced movement. It's not particularly great for advanced movement. It's not particularly great for staying on the ground. It's not great for any particular playstyle. It's kind of just one of those forgettable maps that are just included because they couldn't think of anything else. Just, here's a map, go play on it. It's just middle of the pack in every single circumstance. But those are the 4 multiplayer maps and the Zombies experience from Absolution DLC 3 map pack for Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. I've done this DLC review a couple times for Infinite Warfare. Let me know what I could add to these reviews if I haven't been covering enough for you guys. Let me know how the review was, what you think of DLC 3 in the comment section down below. If you're on Xbox or PC, will you be picking up DLC 3? Let me know in the comment section down below again. And hopefully they don't get too crazy for DLC 4. This 4 map, man. The miniature putt course. Oh, it just drives me nuts when they do this. When they have such a serious game in almost every other regard, and then it's just, here's some stupid wacky melee weapons. Here's some stupid wacky maps in our DLC because we can't think of anything else. I really hope they narrow in and give us some very serious 4th DLC maps. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I've got a bunch of links in the description down below to my Patreon page, my Twitter page. Make sure you check those out. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.